Watch him throw the ball, we gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Die.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to another episode of Trap or Die Podcast. I'm your host of Trap or Die Podcast, Mual, and here with the fellas, man, AJ and Dre. I see y'all in the chat, man. Monty, Benz, what it do? Everybody that's checking in live, we appreciate y'all doing so. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button while y'all still in this chat, in the stream on the YouTube side, Twitch side. We appreciate you checking in. Make sure you hit that follow button if you haven't done so. Audio side, same thing, man. Follow button. And if you got time, hit us with a rating and review, man. We appreciate it. It takes 10 seconds to do so, and it's free to show your support that way. One more administrative item. Film session this week is coming out soon. Whether it's tomorrow or Thursday, I'm not too sure, depending on when I get the video back. But we're gonna take a look at that boy Johnny Newton. We're gonna take a look at a couple of his plays. Rising player. Some suggest it was a breakout game. I don't even think he reached that point yet. And he still had a really good game against the Chicago Bears. But when you see a breakout game, you gonna know that Johnny Newton took over the damn game. With that being said, fellas, what it do? How y'all feeling, dog?
Hey, I don't know about y'all. I'm still trying to process what I seen on Sunday. Like, I wasn't able to get up here and get my immediate thoughts and reactions, bro. But like, every time I want to go back to that game and like kind of dissect different things about it, somehow I keep getting steered right back towards that damn Hail Mary.
Man, let me look at the video of that Hail Mary.
I want to look at every angle. I want to see every reaction. Man, it's crazy, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good, man. Just just interested to see how they continue to play. Also, what they end up doing on their end, maybe in these trade talks. We had another trade happen in the NFL today. But yeah, man, just excited for what's to come for the remainder of the season with this team. What they're 6-2, and in the month of October, which is pretty impressive, especially not even having all the necessary parts or marquee players. So just imagine if they continue to be able to build and add more talent to this roster.
Yeah, these guys, to what Dre was mentioning, like bro, they on a press tour right now. Noah Brown and he didn't got stretched thin. Pause with the media request. I'm sure. I know he was on the NFL Network today, and he was getting interviewed. He rarely gets like the press runs after the game, and he was. I mean, obviously you caught the touchdown, so he got the press conference after the game, in the media room. Terry McLaurin on a Kay Adams show, talking about the game. And I think I'm missing one person, but I'm not too sure. Who else is spoken? And Noah Brown was on the local radio doing his little radio tour locally as well.
I think Bobby Wagner was out there doing something. He was at some kind of like sports business journal thing, and he was talking about the Hail Mary on there.
Okay, yeah, see, they all getting they little they run right now, man. I gotta stop saying little like that, but yeah, they all getting they run right now, bro. It's something, man. Well, AJ we both had our thoughts on the game uh immediately after, and for those who don't know, that was there on Sunday. um when my mic was muted and I didn't know, I was talking shit about Jerry. I was like, yeah, y'all know Jerry ain't made the show because he's somewhere passed out drunk right now. So we're gonna catch him on Tuesday and get his thoughts on the show, on the game. But he had some other things to take care of, man. Some a birthday party of a friend of his. But it's his time to kind of shed light on everything that he was able to capture on the day of and then the following day or two after. What's going on? How you think about how everything unfolded, Trey?
So, Maul, I told you, yes, I was out, watching the game with people, and I was not an enjoyable person to be around for a majority of that game. I mean, because the game started out kind of like how some of the games have been starting out the past few weeks, as far as it looks good. Like, the offense is moving.
Were they Skins fans? Just to get some content,
it was a mix. It was a mix.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, there was a few, but I mean, for the most part, everyone's cool. But like I said, watching the game, it felt at first, first couple of drives, it felt like, all right, our offense, we just got to get going. I mean, they got a field goal. Second field goal, it's like, we should be kind of dominating these dudes. Then after a couple of drives, you realize, man, this game is getting more frustrating and more frustrating to the point where it got 12-0, and I'm pissed. I'm pissed that we up 12-0 because I'm like, one score from Chicago changes this whole game. Then you get the DeAndre Swift touchdown, and I just lost all momentum. I lost all confidence in the game because at
that swing.
Yes, and it wasn't even like, I mean, the defense was playing great. Don't get me wrong, but it was the offense and their inability to kind of do something without stepping on their own foot. And that's what it really was in this game for the offense. They were stepping on their foot the whole game. It felt kind of like the Giants game in a sense, where you're moving the ball, you look like you're going to score, and then you do something stupid. You have a penalty. And some of those penalties, I mean, it felt a little petty by the refs. I mean, those ineligible linemen downfield, I get it. It's a call. But at the same time, it's nowhere near impacting the play. You got guys on this side of the field to score, or the big drives happening on this side. So to me, I was super frustrated. I was not fun to be around. Now, I was drinking, but I wasn't drinking that much. But I was like in a fighting mood. I'm like, man, dude, you know what I'm saying? To the point we get to the fourth quarter, Caleb Williams and them take the lead, man, I was done. I was furious because in my mind, game's over. You know what I mean? Like, game is over. Ain't no way you can come down this field 23 seconds. You're not going to get a Hail Mary. This doesn't happen to Washington. But then, you get down there. And I honestly missed the Terry McLaurin play right before. Because when the Hail Mary was ready to get snapped, I was about to leave out. I'm done. I'm pissed. So I sat out of TV. I look. I'm like, damn, how'd we get to the 48-yard line? Whatever. We ain't getting this. Keep side-eyeing. Then the moment happens, man. Everybody erupts. Everybody goes off. It was just like pure euphoria. Dude, when I got home, I had to sit down like, what the fuck just happened? Like, I'm sitting there evaluating like some real life event happened to me, after that. And I'm like, I don't even know how to process my feelings, because how do you go from so angry as I was to we just won this game in a crazy way.
It was that damn liquor. That's what it was.
I mean, but I wasn't drunk like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just a little bit of drinking, but at the same time, it was like, bruh, like that. Because to me, you look so much better than the Bears in that game. Like, it's to the point where you start talking about what Caleb Williams did in the fourth quarter. You're not even talking about that if you do what you're supposed to do through the rest of the game. Anything that Caleb Williams did in that fourth quarter was supposed to be garbage time stuff, So to the fact that it kind of made it look like, oh man, he's driving them down the field. Now, nothing against Caleb Williams or anything. It's just kind of the stuff that's been going outside and extra around this whole conversation. But everything about it pissed me off because, like I said, I felt like we were dominating that game, but it didn't show up on the scoreboard. And to me, that's still some of the stuff, a little bit of stuff that you have to clean up. But hey, to get that win like that, man, I'll take that any day. That kind of reaction, that kind of game. Now, don't put me through those emotions every week. But I mean, that kind of win, man, like I said, I never thought I would experience something like that.
Yeah, shout out to my man James, who's in the chat via X. He's in the group chat where when I came to my senses and realized we won, I had a delayed reaction, probably like 2-3 seconds. And then I got the spaz in the group chat talking big shit. And like the last thing before we actually get into like the actual takeaways from the game was that the fact that a lot of people probably don't even know like what they did like when the moment happened, because like it's like a shock to the point where like you're just super happy out of a moment in which you were damn near like, how are we about to lose the game? Like, it's a flip of the switch. Like, people at the stadium probably don't even know what they were doing. Like, I know people in the field when they talk about it. Dan Quinn mentioned it. Like, he's just running around, but like doesn't like has no direction because like he just knows they won the game. There's probably people like Noah Brown. People say, why did Noah Brown like react? Why was he so cool when this happened? And the first thing I thought of was like Mecole Hardman in the Super Bowl, when he caught that overtime touchdown and he had a delayed reaction. He didn't know that they won the game. Like, some people just really black out for a second, bro. And like that just makes the situation or the whole moment even better, because it's like that pure rush in where you can really kind of see like nothing but like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just super happy. I think that's what that was. Yeah, that was Dan Quinn. Like, the videos that come out after that, incredible. The Commanders have put out some produced clips of like montage of fan clips, fan moments. They made their own video, several videos. So like they really made sure that we all captured the moment in several different ways, or consumed the moment in several different ways. Game wise, fellas, you talked about kind of how Washington essentially kept Chicago in it by way of their offensive inefficiency. What is there anything from this game? I made my statement on Sunday, so I'll be the last to speak. But is there anything lingering from this game, or anything from this game that you think is like a reality in terms of like the flaws offensively? I mean, you're moving the ball in between the 20s by like with no resistance, but you find yourself in that plus territory where things start to get a little tricky. Dre, we can start with you since you weren't here on Sunday, but what do you think about the offensive side of the ball? Like, what's reality versus like they'll get it together type of deal?
Again, I talked about them shooting themselves in the foot. To me, that's a discipline thing, because this isn't the first game where we've had these issues when we get to the red zone. Like you said, we're moving the ball efficiently. 20 to 20, you're moving. You get to the 20, things start to tighten up a bit. Now you're seeing players make these mistakes they weren't making a few yards back or in the middle of the field. So to me, this comes down to Cliff getting his unit more disciplined. And I mean, I hope that's correctable. I mean, it seems like it's correctable, but when you talk about this happening over multiple games, you wonder if this is going to be one of those kind of lingering lingering issues going down. Because, like I said, I mean, the Bears defense, this is, arguably the best defense we played. Some may say Cleveland, but I think the Bears are the best defense they play, even though they were missing a couple of key pieces in the secondary. But this is a defense that it seemed like they still were able to move the ball on. I mean, they were still able to have the success, but you're shooting yourself in the foot, and again, like the reps may have been ticky-tacky, whatever, but at the same time, there's certain things where you just have to get together, especially with that offensive line unit. I mean, Andrew Wiley's making the same mistakes over and over. Sam Cosmi, this is supposed to be our best lineman. He's making these mistakes. Now, granted, you did have the injuries on the left side of the offensive line. Of course, Brandon Coleman didn't play. Then when Cornelius Lucas went out, that was an issue. But you're not going to have that type of issue going forward all season where all of your left tackles is going to be down. I think Brandon Coleman will be back, but again, Cliff's going to have to get this unit to start working together and being more disciplined. I don't know what he can do from that end. We kind of saw it from Joe Witt's end on defense earlier, where he talked about the communication on defense. Now you see how much better that's got. Like Joe Witt has actually found a solution for that. So now with Cliff, how do you find the solution to getting these guys to being more disciplined in the key parts of, on the field? When you're talking about the red zone, that's scoring opportunities. And with an offense like yours, you do not want to walk away scoring or kicking more field goals than you are getting touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look back at the game, like Dre just said, you want to score more touchdowns than field goals. That's the key thing I could take away, because ideally, if you do that, you're not even in the situation of needing a Hail Mary. Like, they completely dominated that game. But of course, at some point, your defense is going to give up a play. And that play was DeAndre Swift 50-plus yard rushing touchdown. I mean, that defense held up more than we probably would have ever imagined would be the case. I think coming into the game, you thought that they might give up some plays to some of these wide receivers, but they did a pretty damn good job. At the end of the day, it's just one of those situations where you just hope that the offense could put up some touchdowns, at least two. would have went a very long way. Instead, we had to keep watching the kicker, who I don't know if you guys have that feeling when you're watching the game, wherever the case might be, but every time I know that the kicker has to come out, I'm just like, hey, he about to miss this. Even though we've seen him hit most of his field goals under 50 yards, I still have that feeling like he's about to miss this. Because
is it because of him?
It's because he's an unfamiliar name, but also what Washington has been going through with kickers in general.
So PTSD.
So yeah, I would say I have PTSD when it comes to the kicker. And
I think it's like a gradual thing with me. Like, the more he's out there, the more concerned I get, because it's like we have games this year where he's out there for like 4+ attempts. So like that's where I'm like, all right, bro. Like,
it's like we seeing him too much.
Yeah, we relying on him too much. So that's where I feel
100%.
So you're right. I wouldn't even say PTSD. It's just like, man, we relying on this dude way too much. Like, he is not Justin Tucker. You feel me? Like, even now, Justin Tucker is kind of like having his moment.
Just a couple against Cleveland.
Yeah, but it's just like, I just don't want to go into games having to rely on any kicker, no matter what, but especially this new dude. As you've seen, the 50-plus yard didn't even get blocked. Like, it just was trash. So, yeah, cool. I think those are the main concerns. I think the defense is clicking. At the end of the day, you just want to score these touchdowns, man. Cliff got to sharpen up his red zone. And it's interesting because that's one of the main things that they practice during the week going into games is red zone. And it's been a primary focus with this team, even in training camp. Like, a lot of the training camp practices were focused on the red zone. And you shouldn't be having these type of issues on a regular basis, in a sense, because this is now game number 2 of where you've had multiple red zone opportunities and you're not finishing these drives with 6 points. Well, 7 points.
So I'm a little conflicted. Like, my main concern is, and what I said Sunday, Jerry, was the bigger issues with this team comes in the red zone, but also like they appear against teams who have solid defenses. At the time in which, or for several weeks, the New York Giants was a top 10 or top 12 team defense in EPA, right? Like their actual efficiency. And like we saw that firsthand in how they were able to handle us, quote unquote handle us, missed opportunities, etc. However you want to frame it, in the red zone, and with the 7 trips and just 3 points in each of those. The next time you get a team with a solid defense, the Chicago Bears, and they are the number 1 or number 2 ranked defense in the red zone. If I remember right from the broadcast, so you run into that issue and you don't get any touchdowns out of that, right? And where my confliction comes from is watching the tape back and seeing that there are really some moments where Washington literally just shoots themselves in the foot. The Trent Scott false start was one that was big. That was a jet sweep around the corner to Brian Robinson, where like if you look at the tape, there's only one defender out there, and there's like it's like a 20-yard run to the end zone. So you got like a lead blocker or two, and you have an opportunity to score. Right, false start, you get the ball moved back 5 yards. The throw to McCaffrey could have been a touchdown had Montez Sweat and Andrew Wiley not had to go up against each other on that play. Montez Sweat wins immediately, and what hurts Washington on that play is you have a 2-man route combo from that right side of the formation between Luke McCaffrey and Noah Brown. Noah Brown runs like a spot route, like a slant, an angled route, and then just stopping or curling towards the quarterback. But he's from the outside, so he's from the outside taking an inside release, and you have Luke McCaffrey running a corner route. The cornerback that's responsible for Luke bites down on Noah Brown, so Luke is open immediately. But that's where the problem comes in, is when Montez Sweat wins at the line of scrimmage, at the snap, because now you don't even have an opportunity for Jaden Daniels to look and find McCaffrey because he's now trying to escape the pocket. So like when we talk about like missed opportunities, like Cliff has moments where he draws these plays up, and secondly, the actual touchdown where Zacchaeus actually gets into the end zone and there's a ineligible man downfield on that play. Like those moments are critical. You get De'Ami Brown, who has a screen pass, who goes for like 15, 20 yards, and there's another ineligible man downfield, and he gets put inside. He gets stopped inside the 5-yard line or inside the 10. No, like closer to the 5-yard line. So, like I think of these things, and my first the inclination that popped up in my head at first was like, these are happening against solid defenses. And then I think about like individual moments where like these self-inflicted mistakes really hurt this team in the red zone. I don't know how much is on Cliff. Actually, I do have one thing on Cliff. The sequence and play calling sometimes. There was a flag. I don't remember exactly what it was. And it may have been after the false start on Trent Scott. But they ran the ball on 1st and 15. And in my head, in that moment, I'm like, bro, you got 15 yards to get in the end zone, because essentially a first down is at the 1-yard line. I'm not running the football at the 15-yard line, and I got to get in the end zone. And that was one moment, but there's also other moments where I think about the sequence of play calling, and I say, okay, well, like I don't mind a pass here, or like I don't mind a run here, but like, can we get some situations where we can influence either the linebackers or the secondary? Can we give some eye candy or something like that? And that's kind of where it's like, all right, if there's one thing I would say about Cliff in the red zone, maybe that would be the one thing. But then I look at the other moments where like they actually can execute and they really just fail to do it. and that's probably my biggest gripe. I think that it can be correctable to answer my own question, but you know, what are we 8 games in? They maybe need to just kind of survive and make it to the bye week so they can really take some time to sit down and work on some things.
Well, actually, Mo, you know what? This week coming up is actually a perfect week to kind of see where they are with that, because the Giants' defense, they're still pretty decent. You know, it's still a pretty decent defense. I think they're missing Kayvon Thibodeau from the last time we've seen them. Maybe one other person, but still, I mean, most of those guys are there, and that's one of the defense, as you mentioned, they were pretty much up there in the EPA when we played them. And we had these issues that we seen in this past game against the Bears that we had against the Giants. Those things where you're getting in the red zone, you're making those silly mistakes and those silly penalties. So this would be a good week to see if they can get that stuff cleaned up against a defense that they've already kind of struggled scoring against. Well, scoring touchdowns, that is, you know, when you just came off of a week struggling to score touchdowns. So this would be actually the perfect week to see, are they going to fix this? Because to me, that'll kind of show me if it's correctable or if we're getting this thing on the right path, if they can go out there against the Giants. I mean, because not only it's two things, you know, you want to go up there and you want to see if you're going to respond. How are you going to respond after an emotional win like that? Also, you struggled. How do you respond to a struggling week for the offense? Does the offense get back on track? So that's a couple of things to watch this week as it relates to your point.
Yeah, I see some, like Tim mentioned, the drop from Eckler. There was also Ertz had his drop as well. Shout out to Ertz for like taking accountability. Like if there was like no technical side, I would say that's a catch. But I mean, it did hit the ball. I mean, the ball did hit the ground,
and I can see why the ref calls that in that moment versus, you know, the other way, because the ball did hit the ground.
Yeah. But to Tim's point, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. Like it was a drop, and you would have had to hope that Eckler made some magic happen after the catch. But that third down was like he had to make it to like the 2 or 3 yard line, and it was 2 or 3 defenders in front of him. If they professional linebackers, like I think they are, Eckler ain't making it past them. So like,
but that gives you the opportunity to go for it on 4th down, right?
But it'll be like a 4th and 5. I would probably kick the field goal personally, like 4th and 5, 4th and 6.
But if it's on the 2 yard line, I think if he can
make it, he got to get past the linebackers. That's what I'm saying. Got to get past them. Okay. So Jay Tyler said it's not scheme or plays, it's penalties. And Ertz has to stay up. And that's a catch. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and spin the block and talk about the defense after these words from Underdog Fantasy. All right, let's take a break from the show right quick, and let me tell you something about Underdog Fantasy. It is the greatest time of the year because football is back, and it's here to stay till February. You can win up to 1,000 times your money just by choosing higher or lower on your favorite player stats, such as touchdowns, passing yards, and more. Peep that touchdown thing, right? If you're a Commanders fan, Jaden Daniels, Brian Robinson, you're looking like money. You can make that entry on Underdog Fantasy. Choose higher on their touchdown total. Get you some bread. Making picks on Underdog is straightforward, and signing up is even easier. Just head over Underdog's simple to use mobile app or UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up with promo code TrapperDive, and Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code TrapperDive to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit offer. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP or 1-800-639-8783 or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-369. Hey, bro, stop calling it a hostage tape, bro. Relax, man. Underdog Fantasy, that's where it's at. Get your B-Rob over touchdowns, bro. Hit him with the play. All right, so defensively, fellas, I think, matter of fact, let's kind of kick this off with our 2-minute warning, because I think this is actually It's related to the defense, and we can kind of kick it off. Or 2 minute drill. What did I say? 2 minute warning, 2 minute drill. So I'm gonna give us a statement, right, and we'll have kind of like a discussion about the sentence. Everybody in the chat, if you got an opinion, obviously feel free to chime in. So, what I found on social media was actually during the game. Shout out to Mitch Tischler. It may have been premature, it may have not. Depends on how you feel. But he said, quote unquote, whispers, this defensive line might just be better without John Allen. End of statement. Let's go ahead and start the discussion, fellas. What do you think about the statement?
I mean, honestly, I can't say I agree with that. And the reason I say that is because John Allen is still a talent. I know the fan base feels a certain type of way about him, but it wasn't just the defensive line that was struggling when John Allen was out there. The secondary was having issues. There were some issues in the middle of the field as well. And Joe Witt kind of alluded to a lot of it being communication issues. What I will say, I think, has kind of happened since John Allen has gotten injured is kind of forced some people to step their game up. I mean, Johnny Newton, he was still getting himself together. Phil Mathis, I mean, he's been pretty solid. Daron Payne, I mean, I think he's been, kind of iffy for the most part during the season. But then the edge guys, I mean, they're starting to play well, but I do not think it's because John Allen went out. Like I said, I think it just forced guys to kind of step up, when guys getting more opportunities. Johnny Newton, as you said, Mual, you may not call it a breakout game, but it's hey, I'm here in the NFL game. You know what I mean? Like, I can play. This is, I'm showing you something, a little bit of what I can do. You didn't see that before. He was having some pretty rough performances for the most part. So Daron Payne may have seen it as an opportunity. Man, I got to be the lead guy now. John Allen has always been kind of the big vet dog that's been here. He came here a year before Daron Payne. Now, without him is Daron Payne. He's the guy within the middle. So now, I have to pick up my play. Phil Mathis takes on a bigger role now. You even see guys like the new guy that we just signed, Jalen Holmes. He comes out there. He makes a play in this past week. So I just think it's more of a situation where guys are gelling. I mean, it takes some weeks for a new defense. You got a new defensive coordinator, new defensive philosophy, a lot of new players on this unit. And it may take some weeks to kind of get this thing together. I mean, the first 3 weeks of the season, they were all kind of on a historically, bad pace for the defense. But again, they seem like they're turning it around. They seem like they're kind of buying into what Joe Witt has been trying to coach into them and instill into them. And I don't think that I believe that if John Allen was still playing, the defense is still going to play better, because I just think that they had too many good guys out there, the veterans like Bobby Wagner that's kind of helping guys out, even the veterans on the edges. I mean, you may not have a superstar with the Dante Fowlers or the Clelin Ferrells or the Lawrence Armstrong, but these are solid NFL veterans. And I just think it took some time to kind of gel and get things together. And I think that Allen's injury kind of forced some guys to kind of step up.
Yeah, I mean, that is I guess you could kind of say it's like a taboo conversation, but I definitely feel like they're playing better without Jonathan Allen. I think you just have much more explosiveness off the ball with a Johnny Newton than you would with a Jonathan Allen. I think that Johnny Newton and Daron Payne complement each other more within the ask of this particular defense. It's also forcing Joe Witt to get a bit more creative and allow guys such as like a Jalen Holmes, for example, who's only been on the team for a couple weeks, to get an opportunity to have a rotational role within this defense. So I think that's where you can see like things are stepping up. So I definitely feel like it was the inevitable with Johnny Newton possibly replacing Jonathan Allen. Is just that it got expedited with the fact that Jonathan Allen tore his pectoral during the season.
Yeah. I think that what now a lot of y'all may think I'm being a little biased here for reasons that I'm about to state. But I do
Go ahead. Drop when that's supposed to be coming out.
No, he gonna talk about Fedarian Mathis.
but when that boy Fedarian Mathis got an elevated role, bro, you know,
Oh nah, that is not what I was. That is not what I was referring to.
Hey, so look, when that superstar got an elevated role, it's like, let me stop. But look though, on a serious note, I think the biggest thing that we talked about is just how they are able to, how the defensive line has had, like, the importance of them being able to help out their linebackers and even like the people around them all together, like that third level, that second level, and I think for me, Fedarian Mathis is a person who genuinely, I'm speaking of, like he knows how to take on double teams. Like he plays with good leverage. He's a bigger, more stout body, and he can, like, the interior lineman will have problems with him, and he gets active in the run game. And I think that's, like, when I say active, I mean like he'll take on a double team and he can make plays while taking on a double team is what I'm saying. So I think that's like one of the differences in terms of like even that first half and why they were able to make things happen. Like the second level was able to play off of him. The third level is even like when they call these design run blitzes or these called run blitzes. Jeremy Chin is getting free shots on the running backs, free shots on pullers, free shots on the wham blockers from like the tight ends, and things like that. And the same thing with the linebackers. And it's not all because of Fedarian. I'm more so just saying like the way that they're playing up front is different. And I don't think I don't think it all has to do with John Allen being out. But I do think there has been some shift. Dre just made a good point though in saying that I think he thinks that the shift that has been going on would have occurred even if John Allen was still on the field, possibly. But also I don't know how much time Newton and Fedarian would have gotten if John was still healthy. And that's kind of one reason where I think the question is worth asking. But secondly, you got other people coming in, Josh Holmes, FAO Bottles getting time. Like those are new faces because of situationally, like FA was going to come back, but new faces situationally because John Allen's out. So now they're seeing a little bit more time and snaps and things like that. So up front is different. But they're also getting some pressure too, which is also kind of a new thing. And it's schemed up pressure. So like that fourth down call, first of all, we got to do some coaching for all three of us moving forward. This is supposed to be a 2-minute drill. We're probably in like minute 6. So we need to, I'm gonna have a timer so we can make sure this segment is spot on.
It's preseason.
It's preseason for us. All right. Next week is week 1. But last thing I'll say so we can move forward. I think like the dialed pressure is like that pass where Ben St. Juste got flagged for the PI. Even that moment, they send a pressured blitz, but the goal was to make sure that Caleb Williams has to make a throw. Like he couldn't get out the pocket even if he tried. And like they executed everything up front and they forced Caleb Williams to make a throw. And if the rep was clean, it could have been catchable, but it would have been a long shot because he threw it towards the back of the end zone. So that's like one of those things where like they're actually executing from a schematic and like what they want their players to do standpoint.
And Mark, I got a quick question, and this was something rewatching the game because I remember it happening in the game, and y'all can help me with this. But Johnny Newton got a sack, didn't he, in this game? Because when I looked at the stats, he wasn't credited.
Yeah, I thought he got a sack too. Somebody said it's a technical thing, like how Caleb. I don't agree with it, but they said it was some technical thing where like because Caleb tried to run or he ran backwards or something like that, then it was considered a run play. Wow. But it was a damn sack.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I knew I wasn't tripping. I just had to ask that question to see if I was, not finding what I seen. But yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, bro. All right. So last thing on the defense. Are we buying or selling the defense to this point? And let's put a pause so I can show like their Bear statistics. Is they've improved quite a lot. They're the 10th ranked defense in points allowed and 13th in yards allowed. Those are the bare minimum surface level stats without looking into like advanced numbers. But there you go. What do you all think? Are you buying or are you selling the defense?
I'm buying. And reason I'm buying Mual is because the only team that has kind of, made us feel any kind of way about this defense since the Cincinnati game is the Baltimore Ravens. And the Baltimore Ravens have the best offense of football. But outside of the Baltimore Ravens, the Washington defense has stepped it up against every opponent. Now, I get it. There's some bad opponents mixed in there. You have those Cleveland Browns. You do have those Carolina Panthers. But at the same time, this was a defense through the first 3 weeks of the season that was on a historically bad pace. Now, this is a defense that goes up against teams, and they're looking like the defense that Joe Witt talked about in the offseason. They're arriving violently, they're going through people, they're swarming to the ball. I mean, even the scheme pass rush looks better. The safeties are playing pretty damn good football between Chen and Quan Martin. Again, Bobby Wagner every game. I mean, he's showing that the game is not past him by. Now, he may not be the same athlete that Bobby Wagner was, a couple of years ago, but his mind shows on the field. His diagnosing of play shows up on the field. You're seeing the breakouts from the rookies. You're seeing Mike Sanders still turn into a player at the cornerback position. He's pretty much your number one corner in a sense. And then you're seeing Johnny Newton again. He's stepping up within that defensive line. So, I mean, I don't think this is fluke because we're starting to see a stretch of it. Now one game, it's like, maybe a couple games against bad teams, like we still got to see more. But now I think you're putting together a good 4 to 5 games in this stretch on defense with your only pretty much mediocre or bad performance against the number one offense in the NFL. So put me down for buying the Washington defense.
Yeah, I'm definitely buying, and that's just based off of where they had to come from. I mean, it couldn't get any worse. I said early in the season with this team, like, we don't know how much this defense is going to improve. They probably are just who they are, but it seems like the simplifying of the communication and truly trusting in the words that are said out of Joe Witt Jr.'s mouth on these Thursday pressers. He's actually shown it in action. Like, things look simplified. The guys are playing much faster. Bobby Wagner is diagnosing the hell out of plays, especially what we've seen Sunday against the Bears. He was a part of that Seattle team with Shane Waldron last year, and it felt like he knew exactly every single play that Shane Waldron was dialing up. I just see them collectively really forming this brotherhood that's been, preached about. And these boys are having fun with each other and having a blast, and it's showing up on the field. And I think that's one of the most underrated things when you think about a football team is the brotherhood, the camaraderie. That's what helps teams really grow and get to certain levels of success. And you're seeing that happen. The culture is there. It's not that the culture is being built. It's already there. And even the montage that was posted today, you seen how even the coaches interacted. One of the coaches went to some of the players and told them,
and I think
yeah,
Noah.
he told them, you gotta get up for these moments. You can't be sitting down. Like, those are things that go a long way. Also, when the play happened at the end, the players on the field, like, everything is possible with five, but it just is spreading to the whole team, not just the offensive side of the ball, but even defensively. These guys truly love each other and love the process of what they're going through and competing to get in these games. And that's what you're seeing in regards to this defense. They don't have any stalwarts at the position. They don't have like a Micah Parsons out there, a TJ Watt, a Myles Garrett. They're just collectively playing great ball together and having the time of their life doing so.
I'm buying, but I'm buying like at a very like low stake. Like I recognize that they've been getting better. I believe in some of the things that they've been doing. They've been holding their disguises well. They've been tackling much better. They've been finding a way to turn the ball over. All of the things in which we've all said that needs to happen. In terms of like execution and things like that, right? I just think right now we're only a couple weeks now. There's a caveat, but in what I'm about to say, but we're only a couple weeks removed from the game against the Baltimore Ravens. And the caveat is Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, point blank period. We understand those are. Shout out to the person who called me out on in the comments. I was hesitant on calling Lamar a Hall of Fame player, but I was tripping. Because I called Derrick Henry one, Lamar is one as well. Two future Hall of Fame players. There you go. I forgot who you were, your name, but shout out to you. But I say that to say, that offense is one of a kind, but in the NFC, you got a couple offenses who are dynamic, and one of them being the Detroit Lions, and the Green Bay Packers is one who can run the ball effectively too. And that's kind of their kryptonite right now. Like, they still have moments where they get gashed in the run game. Even in the game where they outpaced the Arizona Cardinals, like early on, they can run the ball up until they stop running the ball. The Cardinals did. And then obviously we know what the Ravens did against this. And then it took a couple quarters for Chicago to get it together, but eventually, DeAndre Swift got some edge runs or some runs to the perimeter, which really caused some problems for the defense at that point. So I say that to say, if there's a team who's going to be willing to commit to the run against these guys, I need to see Washington really actually, matter of fact, the Philadelphia Eagles are right around the corner. Like, that's going to be a test. And even the Pittsburgh Steelers to some extent. So that's kind of where I'm like, all right, I'm buying because I see the small incremental improvements, but I need to see what happens when they face teams who are really serious about one thing about their offense. And the Detroit Lions love to run the football. Green Bay Packers love to run the football. Philadelphia Eagles love to run the football. And Pittsburgh Steelers on their. And I said Detroit because I'm assuming playoffs. I'm thinking down the line. Green Bay, same thing. But Pittsburgh and Philadelphia are definitely on their schedule. And Atlanta's down the line too, who they don't run the ball, but they got Bijan. But that team is weird as hell. I don't know why they don't run the football, but that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I'm a low buyer.
Well, and you made a point about the Eagles and the Lions and those teams that give them troubles. I'm interested in the Eagles thing. Like, not to look past, these couple of games we got coming up before we play the Eagles, because we do play them in a couple of weeks. They are similar to the Ravens and, that kind of quarterback, the mobile quarterback, the big time running back in the Saquon Barkley. So that's another test for this team that's coming up. Not only is it a test, this looks like our main competition for the NFC East at this point. And it makes me feel so good because it just feels like we're back in this discussion that we belong in. This stuff we were talking about earlier in the year, that we don't have the rivals anymore and everything's dormant. I'm starting to see the Eagles starting to be that team that start to talk. They're worried about us now. You're seeing their fans start to talk about us. They're noticing us because the Cowboys aren't where they're supposed to be. But again, the Eagles have that kind of offense that you're right, Maul. They give this defense, they pose those problems to the defense. And we don't see them just once this season. We play the Eagles twice. So, this is going to be something that kind of determines the fate of this team. I do think that how you perform against the Eagles, I mean, I hope to be at least take one of those games, but how you perform against the Eagles may kind of show you what kind of playoff team you have, because you do face those Detroit Lions, as you mentioned, maybe those Green Bay Packers, those teams that can all run the ball and also have a quarterback that can beat you as well.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the run game, I definitely understand Maul's concern. I just don't see how they fix it. I think it's just more so collectively getting home to the running back and finishing those plays. Like you touched on the Eagles. The issue with defending them is they got two good ass wide receivers on the outside. So it's not like you could just stack the box and say, let's focus on Saquon or let's focus on Jalen Hurts in the RPO game. They still got an A.J. Brown out there and Devontae Smith. So it will be intriguing when they have to go against those particular teams. Like you said, even the Steelers is the following week with Najee Harris and how they're calling plays and, focusing on their run game to help develop their pass game. It's going to be a good challenge overall. But, I mean, I don't feel like the defense can get any worse than how it started. at this rate.
So we got let's do quick power ranking, and then let's close out with another trade deadline conversation, given that it is week 9. So I think this is the deadline week. So let's do the power ranking. So if you have the high and the low, you had to guess the highest that they were ranked this week and the lowest in which they were ranked this week. Where would you put it for the highest? Matter of fact, go ahead. High, low. Where would you predict?
I think we both confused on what you asked.
So, all right.
The stream went out for me.
Oh, it did? Okay, my bad. So, no, I was saying if you had to predict the highest in which they were ranked for the power rankings this week and the lowest in which they were ranked, where would you put them at?
I would say highest 4, lowest 8. That's my guess.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna go with the same thing as Dre. And shout out to Pat the diabetic. Hopefully your legs get amputated in the process. Yeah.
Hey, bro.
I don't know what he came in here to be angry about. I don't know if he likes the Bears or the Command, whatever. 4 and 8, top 4 and
8. So the highest has been they've been ranked as high as 3. And the lowest has been as low as 12.
Wow.
So an average of 7.
Who has the 3 and who has the 12?
So number 3 has been Clutch Sports. They ranked them number 3 last week. They were number 4. Sports Illustrated had them at number 4. NFL.com number 4. As well as Fox Sports. Oh no, let me read that again. Sports Illustrated number 4. NFL.com and Fox Sports have them at number 5. CBS Sports number 5, as well as Pro Football Talk. ESPN has them at 7, as well as The Athletic, Yahoo Sports, USA Today, Sporting News, Bleeding Green Nation, Watcher Football, and Sharp Football Analysis. And let's go to number 12. Number 12 is a company named Oddshark. And that's the lowest that we have on here. Everybody else has them top 10. So yeah, that's where they are right now, man. Moving on up, bro.
I thought it was Adam Rank that put it at 12.
Yeah, I saw somebody say that. I thought it was funny. But I thought they said that he had us ranked in the 20s. I mean, I know that's a clear troll because he just bullshitting at this point. Yeah, super mad after the game. And I know he believed every word that he said. So it is what it is. All right, let's close out with the trade talks. Monty funny. He been saying that all day. Help the bear. Okay. So, hey, Pat, man, I wish you luck, bro. I want you. I'm not even going to, please continue talking. Please. Good luck to your team. Are we doing
good luck to your life?
Are we doing anything for the trade deadline? My guess is the trade deadline is November 5th. Oh, so that's next week. I thought it was this week. Okay, so we got
after week 9. Okay.
Yeah, so we got one more week. We had some things happen this week. The guy from Carolina. Why am I drawing a blank on my guy's name?
Deontay Johnson.
Thank you, Deontay Johnson, bro. He moved on to Baltimore. So he's no longer around. And then Uche from New England, he went to Kansas City, I think, yesterday. What's going to happen? Are we making a trade?
I wouldn't be shocked. I don't know to what magnitude they make a trade, but I feel like they will do something. But I'm struggling in seeing, do they want to give up? What type of assets are they giving up? Who is even available at this point that would kind of interest them? Because for me, again, if I said this last time we did the show, I would do defense. I mean, if I'm making this type of move in season, it will have to be someone that can kind of upgrade this defense tremendously, because I do think that on the offensive side that, even with the personnel that you got, sure, you can add more to that. But I still think this offense is enough to win games or win important games. You know what I mean? If you fix these penalties up, because the only thing stopping them, again, in my opinion, the only thing that stops this offense is itself. So for me, I'm still looking for help on that defensive side of the football. We talked about the issues that we have in the run game. Maybe there's an edge rusher out there that's available, maybe even some secondary help out there. But if that's the move they make, I would like to see that. But again, I don't know who's available to even kind of jump that far. And I'm not even pressed to give too much for anybody on the offense just because of how the offense is now. And I do think that you can kind of wait to make a move there.
Yeah, man. I think it's tough because normally we're used to trades happening closer to the deadline as far as like actually the day of. Now, a lot of these players that have been projected as possible targets that you would like for your team, or even something of discussion, have already been moved, such as like the Amari Coopers of the world, the Deontay Johnsons of the world today, and so on. I think that I would like for them to, at this point, all the wide receivers I would have been interested in particular, that were on the market, are no longer available. They're now in new homes. They have new residencies. I hope maybe a Calvin Ridley. Say that again.
No, I was laughing at the new residencies part.
Oh yeah, I'm hoping maybe Calvin Ridley possibly comes open, but I think this team could really use as the Darius Smith. I would have even liked a Josh Uche. I think Josh Uche is a good pass rusher. I just think that he's kind of under-touted because he's in New England, but I feel like he's a solid pass rusher and could have brought something to this team. But I think as a Darius Smith is someone who can get to the quarterback, but also can play the run. Also a great locker room guy too. Like, just to add into that, I think he would go perfectly within the culture. Some people are saying cornerbacks. I mean, cornerbacks are not really available via trade during the season. It's rare that you get Ramsey type of move happen during the season. Outside of that, you're just getting somebody else's trash in a sense. In that regard, at cornerback. So I'm not really sure where that conversation goes. A lot of people are mentioning names that I don't think are even feasible. But I would say if they were to make a move at this rate, I would love as a Darius Smith just to go with this rotation and just have a backup, because you've had injuries to the ribs of Dorrance Armstrong. You've had other injuries with Clelin Ferrell. Once those two guys go down, or even just one of them, your rotation is kind of messed up. As we've seen, they've had to sign a lot of guys from practice squad to make up those roles, and they're also playing immediately, like a Jalen Holmes. Like he's been in Washington for 2 weeks. He's already having to be in the rotation of that D line. So I think Zadarius Smith would be amazing. Like I said, he's also someone personally that I know that would bring a great culture. He would still be a part of the culture. He'd be great in that locker room and mesh pretty well with the rest of the guys.
Fellas, only thing I'll say is Myles Garrett or bust. Ain't nobody else I want out here. So go ahead, find a way to get Myles Garrett.
Will Max Crosby be in that conversation for you too?
I'll take Max. Yeah, give me Max, man. Okay. Give me all the superstars.
Do you wait for a Micah Parsons, who has been talking about the Commanders every week on his podcast? He talks about the Commanders every week on the podcast.
Give me all the superstars, man.
You just gotta wait for him a little bit. Yeah, you gotta wait maybe a year or two.
He gonna have to actually hit free agency, because no way in hell Jerry Jones gonna let that happen.
Oh no, that's what he's talking about. That's what Dre's saying.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, because I mean, look, I don't think Micah Parsons is happy, and I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, because that's maybe a year or two down the line, or whatever the case may be. But that's a guy that talks about the Commanders every week. He just had his recent podcast this week, giving so much love to Dan Quinn, like he just missed that old thing. So for me, man.
Hey Dre, let's actually, before we wrap up, let's actually talk about that, because I think is very interesting. But I know that he loves Dan Quinn and really misses him, but I think that those guys, even in Dallas, are realizing that Jaden is that guy on and off the field.
That's it.
On and off the field. they realize like this is that dude. He has it. You don't even see them express that same type of
How about Dak?
admiration for Dak Prescott at all. Like that's just not somebody that they bond with or they care about. They don't see him as having that it factor. So I think that's pretty intriguing because I did see the clip with Trayvon, and like Trayvon's son is even like a big Commanders fan too. So we've seen those clips, but I think it's just showing how much this quarterback situation has gotten a lot of guys intrigued into what's going on with Washington and how they're moving. And these type of things are going to play a big role when it's time for free agency because this area is a beautiful area with people of all walks of life and culture. If you have a family, great for raising your kids from an educational system wise. Even if you don't want to go the private route, you still have great public schools. Private schools, you got a lot. So it's like you pretty much have everything here. Now with a coach that's winning, a quarterback that is that dude, you're gonna be able to acquire and have a lot of eyes interested in coming to Washington. And I think you're seeing that from your rival in the Cowboys and their admiration for Jaden Daniels and Dan Quinn.
Which is insane. I would be pissed if I was a Cowboy fan and kind of heard them talk about a division rival the way they've been talking about us. They love us. So that's just something to keep on
than
their
Jerry
radar.
Jones, bro.
Oh, Jerry, it's
Yeah, you know,
dysfunction in Dallas.
they
That's what's going
they
on.
rather think about they rather think about some
Yeah,
other shit.
there's
So
no
that
order
is.
going on over there. No order.
Needless to say, on my end, I don't see no trades happening. Sorry, Chad. Sorry, fellas. So I don't think Myles Garrett's getting moved. I also don't think that boy Max getting moved. I do like Zadarius Smith, but just that the theory of it all is cool. I just don't think a trade is happening. I think they about to rock out with their guys. Whether that's a mistake or not, we can discuss that next week. But that's gonna wrap it up for us. Appreciate everybody. Yeah, thank you, Monty. Tell that man, go ahead and tell that man go ahead and just get it off his chest, bro. But anyway, we're gonna wrap it up for us. Film session coming out again within a day or two. Johnny Newton. All 32 is gonna be on tomorrow. And then we'll be back Thursday for the game preview, man, against them New York Giants. Y'all take it easy, be safe, all that good stuff. We out of here. Peace.
Yes, sir.
Why are you shaking your head, Dre?
No, that damn
oh, dude.
Yeah,
You say you're a malnourished CD Lamb.